Now another yellow card. This one will be to the rookie, Jeremy Sharp.
He attracts so many bodies on him, and the fact that he stays up, it's almost like the only way to bring him down is to foul him. With that being said, I don't know if that was a yellow card.
Free kick opportunity once again off that yellow card. The referee elects to stop the clock. Sent in. Looking for a flick, but won by Michigan State. And now the Spartans, it's wide open. Look at all those players from Michigan. They are struggling to get back as they have been pushing the game. But now Michigan State finding the ball. Crawford will drop it over. And just over, shot there by Jake Spadafora, the freshman, number 21. And Spadafora so close. This is a great ball from Crawford.
Does a great job penetrating. The fact that Spadafora has the idea to even try to chip it back stick is pretty special from a freshman, and that's almost top 10 worthy if that falls.
So Spadafora and Crawford, both of them freshmen. As Damon Rensing, you can tell that Michigan State, we mentioned those two Elite Eights then leading to that 2018 College Cup, but they've not made the NCAA tournament since 2018. But you can tell with all of these first-year players out there, the future is bright again for Michigan State. Michigan also working in a ton of freshmen. Turning on it, Michigan State. Oh, off the post. The shot coming from Stout. Stout back on it. Stout, yes! Michigan State 2, Michigan 0.
Look at the crowd. Look at the boys. I mean, this is what you want. This is what you want out of the Battle of the Big Bear. And a name maybe we wouldn't have expected. Jonathan Stout does a lot here. Great job by Ferry. Does a good job bringing it in. Stout bends it over to his left, off the post, sticks with it, goes all the way across your screen, cuts it back to his right. Slight little deflection maybe. He gets it back to the other post. And look at the team follow up. Spectacular.
It should go Stout, and then in parentheses, crossbar Stout. So Stout, crossbar Stout, Stout in.
That's how you maximize getting on the point sheet. Give a little give and go off yourself, indoor soccer style, but I've never seen that where you go off both posts. Oh, it's going to be really tough for Michigan to get back in this thing.
First goal of his career for number 6, Jonathan Stout, a freshman. And you'll never forget it because it probably locked up the Big Bear for the first time since 2017 when DeJuan Jones won it in Ann Arbor. Michigan State now in the driver's seat to keep the Big Bear right here in East Lansing. Finally getting it back from Ann Arbor. As you saw Derek Broach bring it off the bus. There is a whole lot of wood to chop, which, pardon the pun, but the wooden bear hanging over there, the big wooden bear on the line. 7 minutes and change.
It's deflating too as a Michigan Wolverine. I mean, he did a lot right to get back in this game. You're going to look back at film and see a lot of sessions, just being a little bit cleaner on the end of crosses, but this goal again, similar to the first half, that's going to be a foul. Michigan just, couldn't really capitalize to get it in. Michigan State stays on. It was a kind of a sloppy turnover for Michigan, and it was really Ferry that just went through the entire box, creating the chance for Stout. So we got some tired legs out there.
Broach. Taken away by Michigan State. Stout with the second goal. We'll push it out to Stone. Stone with the great service to Mercer for the first goal. Under 6 minutes remaining. Buka. Buckner sometimes makes players look like cones. Now he needs to make a difference, though, with this pass, and Finnerty has it. The Battle of the Big Bear started in 2000. Steve Burns and Joe Baum said they needed a trophy, and they found this in Wolverine, Michigan. He saw a sign that said Driftwood and Chainsaw Art, and he discovered that Keith Bunker, Google him, Bunker, like Archie Bunker, Bunker. He has since passed away, but he is famous for his Driftwood and Chainsaw Art. And thank goodness that Steve and Judy Burns were driving along in Wolverine, Michigan to find that incredible piece of art right there.
That's such a cool story. It really is. I mean, the fact that it's now become such a thing, and when you can see it live like this, just how important just this one match is every single year, it really gives you a better appreciation for it. I also just love that bear. He's been through a lot. Doesn't have any eyes anymore. He still shows up, though. He knows it's game day.
Well, and so do the players. I mean, the players, they know it. When they go to Michigan State, when they go to Michigan, yes, it's about winning a Big Ten regular season. Yes, it's about winning the Big Ten tournament. Yes, it's about making deep runs. Keep in mind, Michigan in 2010, when they won that Big Ten tournament, they made it to the College Cup, losing to Akron. And, of course, Michigan State showing their medal 8 years later, making it to the College Cup. By the way, both of those were in Santa Barbara in 2010 and then 2018. Akron would win under Caleb Porter, the former outstanding midfielder for Indiana, now the top man at the Columbus Crew. Maryland would win in 2018 when Big Ten had a 75% chance of bringing home that national championship.
We got the job done.
Maryland did not allow a single goal in the NCAA tournament that year, and that was after falling to Indiana twice during the season. They beat Indiana in the College Cup. Speaking of Indiana, they're coming up next on the Big Ten Network. We will get you right out to that game after we see what looks like the Michigan State Spartans grabbing a hold of and securing the Big Bear. It's coming up next right here on the Big Ten Network, Northwestern at Indiana. So now we were wondering about Mercer. So Mercer's back in for Damon Rensing. Big story of the game, Owen Finnerty. He's got a twin brother out at Caltech. In fact, his dad, Goose Finnerty, there you see 5-0 as the Michigan starter against Michigan State. Never lost a game. One of those were Big Bear. Two of them were in the COVID year, and two were in the Big Ten tournament. And now he's got a chance to be 1-0 on the other side of the Big Bear. 6 shots faced, 6 saves for Owen Finnerty. His dad, Goose, telling me today that his twin brother is a center back, and he arrived 20 seconds earlier than Owen Finnerty, who kicked him out. And, of course, when you think about the goalie and a center back, the goalie's looking right at the center back, and the two twins making mom and dad super happy as they split time between California and Michigan. Second half, Michigan with 6 shots, but Michigan State has responded with 8, and they all seem to come in a flurry. And Damon Rentsy going to his bench and finding that second goal from
in 5 minutes.
We've all kind of been waiting to see if there's been enough opportunity to maybe get a little extra there. There's really not too much. And it's the end of the match. It's been a really hard-fought match.
Yeah, that's going to go. Buckner dials one up, but not on target, and that's kind of been the story of the game. Michigan has been explosive at time, but have not been detailed. In their final third. Broach. Final 10 seconds. A season high 3,000 plus, made up of the great students, and the Big Bear is staying in East Lansing. It finally returns to Michigan State for the first time since 2017. Michigan State. Where's the bear, Patrick Duty?
Bear looks like he's hibernating. We can't find him. Make sure no student grabs that and runs off. That was awesome. That was really awesome. I really enjoyed watching this match. An interesting one where Michigan ultimately probably had more of the game, a lot of good chances, but Michigan State gets it done. There it is.
The Big Bear will stay in East Lansing, delivered from Ann Arbor. Owen Finnerty, the Michigan transfer to Michigan State, will hold the Big Bear. It's the first win versus Michigan since September 17th, 2017. And the Battle of the Big Bear will stay with Owen Finnerty and the Michigan State Spartans. What a game here is coming up next. It's Northwestern at Indiana. More Big Ten men's soccer coming your way. I want to thank Denny Blunt and our amazing crew, the national champion from Indiana, Patrick Duty. For each and every one of them and all of you, I'm Dean Linke. Michigan State wins the Big Bear 2-0 over Michigan.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate everyone who's sticking around for this matchup between Northwestern and Indiana. Tyler Terrence, along with two-time national champion at Indiana, Chris Monroe. Glad to have you with us after that big win for the Spartans in Michigan State, 2-0 over Michigan. Fell to the hands of the Wolverines, and sort of Northwestern with a free kick opportunity, and Castro is a set piece specialist, although this is from about 50 yards out, and he's going to require some neat delivery here even to just challenge this Indiana back line. Angled away from goal. Weiss will bring it down. Tossing it in, not a bad ball. The flag will go up, offside against Northwestern.
And we've talked about it before. Northwestern, not the hugest team from a physicality perspective, but you saw 24 Deng Kerr there. When Northwestern has restarts, they're going to challenge this Indiana back line and attempt to find his head or his body in an attempt to get those knockdowns and see if they can get a chance on target.
Well, it did score off a set piece against Michigan State, or excuse me, against Michigan over the weekend. Castro with the delivery, just asking questions of that Michigan back line, and actually took a deflection off of Wolverine and landed in the back of the net for Castro's first goal of the season, but he's been playing more of a playmaker role, was top 10 in the Big Ten in assists last year, and continues to do so for the Wildcats, playing as a number 9 again tonight. Here's Redmond. McDonald stripped in the middle of the field. The defensive pressure from Kajata Har. And here comes Northwestern on the counter. Probably where we're going to see most of their attacking prowess tonight. Taggart sends one in, a dangerous ball into that corridor of uncertainty, and dealt with by the Hoosier back line. There's a little bit of a repress from Northwestern, and then they get bailed out by the whistle as Kajata Har, a little overzealous, trying to win the ball back.
But I love Kajata Har's work rate in the center of the park to find that, press McDonald, force the turnover, and then start the counterattack. You said it. That's where we're going to see Northwestern have a lot of their opportunities on the counter, in the channels, and ask questions of this Indiana back line.
Indiana held firm almost the entire game against Michigan State over the weekend. Dominated possession and most statistics you could possibly imagine. And speaking with Todd Yeagley yesterday, said they probably deserve more from the game, but it was a good lesson down the stretch to not switch off and be sharp in every moment, particularly when you have a 1-0 lead at home. Chaos ensued in the last 5 seconds of that game with Louis Sala of Michigan State getting sent off with a reckless red card against Patrick McDonald, and then Joey Mayer had an opportunity in the dying moments off of that red card and the free kick that happened after a lengthy video review. And Mayer thought that he had a goal that crossed the line after it was held onto by Finnerty of Michigan State, but after even further video review, it was deemed that the ball did not cross the line. As Sarver able to turn under pressure. Here's Endely. Has an overlapping run. Chooses Sesak, lofts it into the area, dealt with by Clauget. Not out of the woods yet of the Wildcats. First real threatening move we've seen from the Hoosiers yet so far. With good defensive presence from Clauget, sophomore out of Atlanta. Made some appearances for Atlanta United 2 in the USL Championship, second division in the American Soccer Pyramid. Transferred from Pitt. All 5 of the Wildcats minutes leaders, Chris, are all transfer students. So this is a group that Russell Payne has sort of had to piece together, but seemingly starting to gel and starting to figure it out. Endely with the touch. Indiana might be through here as Wittenbrink was clean in on goal and could not put the finishing touches in on it. That is a very, very good opportunity just 8 minutes into the game.
The ball falling to what Coach Yeagley says is Indiana's most clinical finisher, and Ryan Wittenbrink just putting it outside of the far post there, opening up the hips. Right-footed shot, can't put it quite on frame. Great work there by the Hoosiers to advance through the lines, but he's obviously going to wish he had that one back.
On the preseason Big Ten player watch list, 3 goals and assists already this year. Redshirt senior from Libertyville, Illinois. Like you said, opened up his hips and he was trying to get that curling action, but it almost looked like he dumped it a little bit and couldn't quite wrap his foot around it. There's not many other players that Todd Yeagley will want in that position. as this one is lofted over the top. Indiana calling for offside, and they're going to get it.
And we've seen the last couple of minutes, a couple of these chances coming when Sarver finds the pocket of space in front of the Northwestern back line. He's able to get in there, short combination plays, and then move the ball out. We saw in that most recent chance, Wittenbrink able to turn past the Northwestern defender. Look for Indiana to keep challenging that Northwestern back line and asking questions of their fullbacks.
Wittenbrink trying to go back for Patrick McDonald. But Claude again is sharp to it, and he's going to have his hands full down that left flank with Lawson Redmond, as well as Wittenbrink and Patrick McDonald getting involved in the conversation. This one slipped through, intended for Weiss. Really working on Colin McCamey, sophomore out of Wake Forest, North Carolina.
And we saw Northwestern there have success winning that second ball with Gajadahar. Even though it went into Castro, not the biggest player on the field, expect Northwestern to push high, win those second balls, and again, challenge the Indiana midfield and make sure that they're being responsible with their defensive zoning.
Hendley again looking dangerous in these opening moments, spearheading this Indiana attack, forcing Sarver to take the scenic route. Whips it around. Dudley, a good-looking ball. The save is tipped off the crossbar by Christian Gardner. Fantastic hands from the keeper. Indiana still within, finally cleared away by Dang Kerr, but that is another clear-cut opportunity for Indiana that is denied by Christian Gardner.
Two great chances for Indiana in the first 10. Endley getting his head on it. Terrific reflexes there by Garner to push it high off of the crossbar, living to fight another day for this Northwestern defense.
Christian Gardner again getting the start. He's given up 14 goals in 6 starts so far this season, but despite Walters getting a couple of starts in the middle of the season for Russell Payne, continues to go with grad transfer as Endley again finding some space. The back heel doesn't quite come off. There's a player down behind for Northwestern. Will play on. Another diving header away. Here's Helmer trying to send it across, and now Demetrius Casamingas is going to check on that injured player, and it looks like it's Vicente Castro. And Castro in some pain, and that's the last player you want to see down for Russell Payne, as he is the Chilean magician that really makes this Wildcat group go.
Looking in, he got stuck in with McDonald, and then he grabbed McDonald's jersey. It looks like it might have just been a freak play in which either his shoulder or his arm got a little bit extended. Hate to see that, obviously, for anybody, but especially somebody so talented for this Wildcat team.
Russell Payne telling us yesterday that Castro plays with a chip on his shoulder despite being one of the better playmakers in the conference last year and finishing top 5 in the Big Ten in assists. Didn't receive a single accolade, so he feels like he's got something to prove this year, and he has come out blazing. And even though Northwestern haven't had the results go their way in the opening few weeks of this season, anybody who's been watching this Wildcat group, they know that Castro is by far one of the better players in this conference.
And of course, it's one thing when the own coach says it, but Coach Todd Yeagley said the exact same thing. This Northwestern team is far superior than their record might indicate. So when you have both coaches saying that, you know there's a kernel of truth in there. Absolutely.
Castro has re-entered the game. Hopefully he'll be able to continue. Came over for a year of high school in Lake Placid. Came up to the Black Rock system, one of the famed programs in the New York area. Has fit in seamlessly with this Northwestern group. Wittenbrink. McCamey nipping at his heels. Wittenbrink still with it. Turns the corner. Swarm of white jerseys surrounding him. Yeagley keeps it moving. McDonald thought about hitting it. Thinks better of it. Bit of a hospital ball there from Sam Sarver. And this is where Northwestern needs to be clinical and careful with the balls when they give it up and Indiana comes swarming with that repress, and it's going to be a long night, Chris, if they continue to just give the ball back as soon as they win it back.
You said it. We've seen it a few times already. Winning it, especially Gajadahar in the center of the park. Can they possess? Can they make their way through that initial press of Indiana to advance it into the middle third of the field? We'll see here. Not obviously on this play.
Redmond looking to go direct. Again, his target is Wittenbrink, and Kerr thought he was going to be able to see it out of play. Instead, had to play it. Looks like it's going to be a deep throw, if not a corner for Indiana. It will be a corner. Wittenbrink typically will take it from the left-hand side with the mean in-swinger. Provided some very good delivery over the weekend against Michigan State. Instead, we'll go short for Helmer. That's a great-looking ball and a terrific defensive header from Andrew Stevens.
Fantastic opportunity there by Indiana. A little confused, thought it would be a corner kick. Looks like a goal kick there. Obviously, Northwestern scouted Indiana over the weekend, seeing that in swinger. Indiana electing to play short, dangerous ball in. Think they might have gotten jobbed a little bit, thinking it should have been a corner.
I'm not going crazy. That came off of Stevens, did it not?
No, I mean, you might be, but not in this instance.
And Joey Mayer will go all the way back for JT Harms, the junior out of Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin. Came up through the Columbus Crew Academy. Joey Mayer was the hero in the conference semifinal last year, along with Roman Celentano of Indiana. And Sunday stream Men's Soccer Live on the Big Ten Plus app as the Wildcats host the Nittany Lions. There's no plus like home. Download the Big Ten Plus app and subscribe today. Ethan Dudley looking to play out of the back. Good entry pass in for Gajadahar. Played through for Castro, gets a tug from behind. Referee says play on. This is Castro at his best. Taggart looking to put on the moves, and Redmond was sharp to it. And Castro is now asking for a yellow card, and it probably should be dished retroactively.
You're absolutely right. Very surprised the yellow hasn't been given in this stoppage of play due to the fact that you see there the tug on the jersey holding for 3 seconds or so. Great professional foul, especially when you consider it didn't lead to a yellow card there for the Hoosiers.
Opportunity from Weiss after the hold-up play from Northwestern, and it just goes wide as Justin Weiss, the junior out of Syosset, New York, and Colgate transfer, continues to be a threat in the attacking third. Just a goal and an assist, though, despite having 8 last year. And he's another guy who can play a multitude of positions for Russell Payne, can slide over into the number 9 position when Castro might come out of the game, or slide over to a wing himself.
Worked out nicely there for the Hoosiers that ball was rolling because Ben Yeagley put it out of play, but they're going to get to go again.
Played it straight to the feet of Russell Payne in the technical area. Outstanding goalkeeper in his time with Maryland. The beginning of the Sancho Swarovski era. Indiana a little out of sorts here playing out of the back. You saw Mayer and Brett Beebe having a conversation, but nothing out of sorts about this buildup. As Sesak with a big touch into space. Time for delivery. And played by Stevens again at the near post, but after a bit of confusion, the Hoosiers with a pragmatic and patient buildup.
Took a little bit longer than they might have liked, but in the end, Endley with the sweet back heel getting it up to Sesak with that service in. Northwestern doing a good job of recovering, making sure that near post was covered.
The Dutchman Helmer on top of the corner. It will be an in-swinger. Gardner forced to punch it away. '50th varsity season for Indiana. 46 NCAA appearances, looking to make it 47 this year. And knowing the lofty standards of this program, probably a little bit more than that. Launched into the penalty area. Won by Stevens. Higley gave it away and straight to the feet of Vicente Castro. Standing feet, touched along. Weiss was able to get there, but offside again is Jason Gajadahar, freshman out of Toronto. But Castro just draws so much attention, and he'll draw not one, but sometimes two or three Indiana defenders, and it just opens up so much space if he is able to get out of it, which most times he is.
Multiple players drawn to the most dangerous guy on Northwestern, leading to those channels opening up. You said it.
To the feet of Castro.
Beat him, Chris. Hi, Randy.
Castro just trying to win a corner, but Brett Beebe with some sure-footed defending. Beautiful layoff from Sarver. Endley. Along for Wittenbrink, but a little bit too far out in front of the redshirt senior.
That touch from Sarver was just magical. The ball played into his chest, able to one-time that into Endley. Again, not able to find Wittenbrink. Coach Todd Yegley saying he wants his players to be more clinical in the final third, connecting that last pass, that last shot, so they can get more opportunities on target.
Weiss along for Castro. That one running out of play.
And if you're Coach Russell Payne, you're feeling a little bit better these last 5 minutes. Castro's been able to find the ball. He's been able to combine a little bit. That final pass at times hasn't gone to the Northwestern Wildcat, but they are earning their way into the game and getting a little bit more comfortable on the ball.
One of the biggest things when we asked Coach Payne about his team struggles as of late, just said they need to be sharper in a few moments, particularly defensively, giving each other more cover. Their back line continues to learn from one another, learn each other's tendencies in terms of when someone's going to step, cover, balance. It's a long process, particularly for a team who's still trying to form an identity. And I think that was the buzz phrase that he continued to use in our conversation with him. And he said, when you are trying to form an identity, it's those moments that you need to stick to your principles, stick to what has been taught to you from preseason and moving forward. And that if you do get away from those principles, Chris, it can sometimes result in some ugly moments. And I think that his team have gone through some of those growing pains.
Those growing pains, exactly. And knowing that when you're not the most consistent, when you are perhaps on the road and you're facing a team like in Indiana, how are you going to communicate and weather some of those difficult times?
This one launched over the head of Wittenbrink. Redmond will keep it in play. He'll sort of act as another attacking player sometimes in this role, as will Sesak on the far side. Sesak will find Endley. Excellent feet. Trying to lash it across. Dudley was there. Pops back out for Sarver. Another delivery in for Yegley, and a spectacular save from Christian Gardner. His second in the first half, and he continues to keep Northwestern in this.
A terrific header here by Ben Yegley going across the goal, but Gardner with an even better save, having to get set, throw his hand out, and get a fingertip to it, keeping the Hoosiers at bay.
BC grad transfer, continues to dazzle here at Bloomington. More work to do from this corner. Patrick McDonald. Sarver. Wouldn't break with a first-time delivery. Diving header away only as far as McDonald. Endley looking to turn the corner. Able to rid McCamey. Back for Whitbreak once more.
Hoosiers doing a nice job of possessing it in the channels, working it around, getting Northwestern off balance, and looking for service.
Wouldn't splits a couple defenders. Out for McDonald. Wants it on that favored left peg. Sesak. Sarver lashes it across. Gardner was there. Wouldn't had an opportunity, but couldn't quite corral it. And stabbed away by the Wildcats once more, who continue to have a lot of emergency defending.
Garner with a fantastic third save of the night right there, and Wittenbrink right on the doorstep, unable to get that first touch in and on frame.
Step from Stevens. And that one ran out of play on Chris Taggart.
We see Sesak get the ball wide, the cross, and what a great save there by Garner. Wittenbrink unable to turn his body in such a way at a tough angle and get that shot on frame first time.
And Deng Deng Kerr will be able to see this out of play. Christian Gardner leading the Big Ten in saves per game, but that statistic usually indicative of sometimes how brittle your defense can be, but Gardner has been up to the task and then some.
And what was great about that save was his ability to, even though he was at full stretch, get as much of a fingertip palm on it so it didn't die and drop right in the six. Even though Wittenbrink was close to getting on it, he was able to propel it with enough force away from goal that it wasn't an easy tap in, again, keeping this game 0-0.
Here's Bardia Kimiavi, who's fresh into the game. Substitute finds it again. His delivery stood up at the back post and stay in play. And Gajadahar applying the pressure, forcing Indiana to clear their lines. Yeagley threading the needle. Endley again. Boy, how good has he been in the opening 25 minutes? Northwestern's transition defense has been pretty good so far when they have been caught in an Indiana buildup or Indiana going the other way on the rare occasion on the counter. They've gotten numbers back behind the ball.
And you can see their shape there with Weiss high and the backs trying to push up and condense the field, making it more difficult for Indiana to play through either that mid or low block.
Sesak looking for the big diagonal, trying to find the big man, Wittenbrink. Did well. Mahalik fresh into the game off the backside of Kerr. Redmond. Straight to the feet of McCamey. Dispossessed, long-range effort, takes a deflection, and Gardner forced to tip it over the bar for his fourth save of the first half.
Yeagley can hardly believe it. His second chance of the game saved here by Garner. After the deflection, Garner using great footwork to get back, touch it over the bar, make sure that it stays 0-0. Speaking of footwork, Endley here with a sweet little move around the Northwestern defender. Then again, finding the Indiana attacker in the wide channel.
Ball whipped in, but just on the wrong side of the post. And it will be a goal kick for Christian Gardner and the Wildcats.
And substitutions on the field for the Wildcats. Entering is number 19, Paul Sun.
And the thing is, if you're Indiana right now, Coach Todd Yeagley, you've got to be pleased with how you've not only defended Northwestern, but advanced the ball into the middle and final thirds of the field. You're just seeing Christian Gardner, 4 shots on target, 4 saves for the evening, 3 or 4 of them extremely impressive ones. So Northwestern can hang their hat on the fact that they're still in this one.
Mahalik has been playing a super sub type of role for Todd Yeagley as of late, but by far one of the more technical and versatile players on this Hoosier roster. Just a different type of profile, Chris, and just very solid on the ball. And it looks like the Hoosiers will go quickly from this corner. Redmond is going to have a go off the backside of Justin Weiss. And Paul Sun, the substitute, looking to race the other way, but a 1v4 if he continues to go down this route. But Fearless is the substitute, and unfortunately the ball running out of play.
Little bit of immaturity there from the sophomore. He was able to do a nice job of advancing the ball from the back third into the middle third of the field. Maybe the right thing to do there is to put your foot on top of the ball, let your midfielders get into the play around you, and then look to switch from there. That being said, again, as we've said, about 28 minutes into the match, Northwestern doing a great job of weathering Indiana's storm, keeping it 0-0.
Let's go! One side wide! Let's go! Marty, tuck in, get ready to go. You ready, JG?
Well, Vicente Castro, Northwestern, getting a rest right now. Kimiavi, Sun, and Weiss leading the front line for Russell Payne. Endley couldn't find his way through this time. Northwestern able to break it up and poke through for Kimiavi. A little bit of work to do here for Joey Mayer and company. Looked like a push in the back from Ethan Dudley, and indeed it will be.
Late call, but probably the right one. I do like, as Coach Russell Payne has made these substitutions and shifted his front three, the fact that he does have Weiss at the top as the 9. He's not the tallest player, but at about 165, we like to do him to a bulldog before the game. So you know he's going to be feisty. He's going to get into tackles, and he's going to provide a bit more of a physical presence compared to Castro up there.
Weiss was 5th in the Big Ten in points last year, along with being 2nd in the goal department, as Endley has this one take a fortuitous bounce. Wittenbrink on his left foot and couldn't quite wrap his foot around it.
Just not Wittenbrink's night this evening. He's had a couple opportunities, one that he put wide of the post, one just a little bit unlucky out of his reach. Here, can he go low across and maybe get a rebound opportunity for his teammates? Like the aggressiveness, like what he's thinking. Just obviously he's going to want to put that one on goal.
Wittenbrink, an absolute force up top for Indiana, continues to be one of their go-to guys, and you can understand, given his frame and how fast he is, and the fact that he has pretty good feet, Chris, for a big man, that he led the Development Academy in his final year before entering Hoosier land and scoring. Here's Stevens, cut out by Redmond, pressure from Sun, and now here comes Northwestern the other way. Weiss, couple of step overs, and forces the first save of the night out of JT Harms.
Good first tackle there by Indiana, looking to absorb pressure, but Northwestern there on that second ball, and they're doing what they're going to do the remainder of the evening. Find their guys in the wide channels, go 1v1, and try to attack these outside backs of Indiana, looking to either get a shot on frame or get down to the end line, service across for one of their attackers.
Substitution for the Hoosiers, number 7,
Carson Enderlong replacing number 18, Ryan Wittenberg.
So the Xavier transfer, Henderlong, is going to come on and replace Wittenbrink, who, as Chris mentioned, not necessarily his night tonight yet. Has had a couple of opportunities fall his way on that left wing, and now Henderlong will get the opportunity himself.
Come on,
Hendley will leave it for Nick Sesok. Pit transfer sizing up Ibrahim Obid. And the left back winning out that instance. Sesok battled some injuries last year. Came to Indiana in the fall of 2020, said that we're still waiting for him to really blow up and perform the way they were hoping, as Hendley found it at his feet inside the penalty area. It always looked awkward, and it falls eventually in the end comfortably into the hands of Christian Gardner.
And actually, unbeknownst to Endley, there was an Indiana attacker running late as a second run into the box. He might not have known or maybe heard that that opportunity did exist there. Good option there for the Hoosiers to get an opportunity on goal. Again, Northwestern weathering the storm.
A little bit of a skill check there for JT Harms, as that one was sent back with a bit of zip and bounce from Patrick McDonald, just making sure his keeper's awake back there.
Quite impressive head trap, exactly.
I'm sure those were always your favorite to receive.
Oh, for sure, because I was so good at them. Yes, definitely.
On ball over the top. Good defending from Ethan Dudley. Grab transfer from Florida Gulf Coast. Originally from Indianapolis, moved to St. John's, Florida at a relatively young age. He started every game so far for Northwestern, part of that core that has been leading the team in minutes, and every single one of them being a transfer student of some sort. DB will switch it for Joey Mayer. And the outside backs for Indiana are acting effectively as fifth and sixth attackers for Indiana. And that's why Northwestern have been pinned back for such long stretches of this night. And now Mayer acting as a midfielder.
Patient. Tommy up.
Mahalik. Endley went for the back heel. Wasn't a terrible idea, and cleared away by Kerr.
Joey Whiter.
Northwestern still sitting in this low block. You said it. Those outside backs of Indiana pinning the outside wingers of Northwestern deep, making it very difficult to break out of the back.
Henderlong trying to thread the needle for Mahalik, and will take a deflection and be in favor of Northwestern. Thursday, catch a women's soccer doubleheader as the Huskers take on the Boilermakers, followed by the Wolverines against the Gophers. Coverage begins Thursday at 6 Eastern, presented by TIAA on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. And Northwestern finds some joy on the attacking side of the ball. Kimi Avi. Thought about taking on Sesok.
Perfect decision there by Northwestern to try to possess in Indiana's defensive half. First time they've really been able to do that in the first 36 minutes or so. Let's see how they respond here, though, to Indiana's press.
Claudette, the Atlanta native, gives the ball away. McDonald attempting to shield the ball, went down rather easily, and the referee says play on. Smits lays it off for McCamey. Good entry pass in for Justin Weiss. 1v1 with Mayer. Weiss going for the curler. And a comfortable save for Harms in the end. But that's a good look for Northwestern if you get Justin Weiss 1v1.
And when you have Indiana pushing 6, 7, 8 bodies up, if you can get a fortuitous break, get Weiss on a 1v1. Good defense there by Mayer, but Weiss unable to curl it into the far post past Harms.
Endley, excellent looking pass in for Mahalik. Goes for the shot from distance, and another save from Christian Gardner. It's number 5 in the first half. Without Vicente Castro on the field for the past 10-15 minutes, Northwestern holding strong.
Which, if you're Coach Russell Payne, bodes very well for the second half. You have your guys, even without your star, getting more and more into the game, trying to counter, trying to, as we just saw, possess in Indiana's defensive half. When you're able to bring someone like that on in the second half, probably a little bit fresher, that should unlock some opportunities for Northwestern as they get into the attacking third of the field.
And Chris, as you know, the longer an underdog, particularly on the road, stays in the game, the more pressure that is going to build on the home side in a program like Indiana.
Especially when you're 0-1-1 on the season in conference play. Sitting near the bottom of the standings, this really does feel like a must-win game for the Hoosiers, even though, of course, Todd Yeagley would never say as such, and the performance has been so quality this first half.
Clever little dummy there for Mahalik. Gets the ball back from McDonald. McDonald with the delivery. Kerr able to clear his lines momentarily.
See this low block from Northwestern. Indiana trying to penetrate, now bypassing straight into the target man. Northwestern doing a good job back to front, 30-35 yards from their center backs to their target player, defending this Indiana attack.
Looks like Joe Arena is getting set to come on for Northwestern. We're out of Homedale, New Jersey. Obeid forcing Endley in a negative fashion, although senior from Blaine, Minnesota, can only be contained for so long. Henderlong wants it back from Endley. Henderlong for Endley, trying to return it for Henderlong, and Northwestern able to break it up. Good job from the Wildcats building out of pressure. Smith's back from McCamey. And the Wildcats are on their way. Weiss offside, and you can hear the ooze from the Northwestern bench. Razor thin margins.
Weiss himself can't believe it. He thought he played it perfectly. Looking at Redmond deep. Oh, man, that's going to be a tough one if you're a Northwestern fan. Great work breaking Indiana's press, leading to that opportunity. You see the stats there, 4 offsides for Northwestern, playing a high line and trying to get behind that Hoosier defense.
No VAR for offside in college soccer. At least not yet. Here's Smits. Hunted down by Mahalik. Billy encouraging Sesson forward. OB goes to ground, but Sesson comes away with it. Endley, good looking ball. Yeagley tries to square it back across, and Dudley was stationed perfectly. And it will be a deep throw in for the Hoosiers.
Northwestern with 3 or 4 bodies there on that near post, preventing Yeagley from getting his ball into the middle or back part of the box. Good defensive pressure by Northwestern. Indiana still knocking on the door, but just can't get through.
Yeagley, of course, the son of head coach Todd Yeagley, the grandson of the legend Jerry Yeagley, and he's not going to blow you away with his technical ability or his pace or his physical presence, but what he is going to do is keep the game extremely simple, and he's going to work incredibly hard.
And he's developed as a player in his time at Bloomington, at Indiana, from coming on, becoming more and more sure with the ball, playing 2 and 3 touches, looking to connect, knowing his role within the team, being a defensive instigator, breaking up balls, and then finding the opportunities to get the more flamboyant attacking players involved in the final attacking third of the field.
Tomorrow, a women's volleyball doubleheader begins with the Hoosiers against the Hawkeyes. Then the Wildcats challenge the 7th-ranked Gophers. Coverage begins tomorrow at 7 Eastern, powered by Unleaded 88, only on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. There's a look at Coach Yeagley and understanding that the national championship is not going to be won or lost in late September, but obviously his team needs to start to put together wins, and seeding in the Big Ten tournament, and all those things will come into play. But while he might have been coy about it and maybe downplaying the start of Big Ten play, and the last time that they did not win their first, or did not get a win in their first 2 games, was 2017, I think, like you said earlier, Chris, he knows that this is a must-win game.
Exactly.
Corner for the Hoosiers.
And Gumbale coming in for the injured Lawson Redmond. Associate coach Kevin Robeson called him one of the Swiss Army knives of this team for his ability to be flexible and play in positions in the defense, midfield, and attack. We'll see if he can get even more involved these last few minutes of the game.
In swinger at the near post. A little bit awkward for Northwestern, but they clear their lines. Ward knocks it over the top after a nice layoff from Henderlong. Mahalik looking to battle his way through. Shouts for a handball on Brandon Clauget. Referee not having any of it. Endley now. Flips one at the back post, and Gardner is there.
As we take a look at this replay and Mahalik getting in, doubled down by the Northwestern defenders, it looks like, just too tough to see if there's actually a handball there on Northwestern. I think there's no way you can go to VAR in any circumstance, professional, college, or otherwise, and rule that that should be a penalty.
Nearing the end of the first half here in Bloomington, Tyler Terrence, Chris Monroe. Both teams looking for their first win in Big Ten play. And so far, it's been the Christian Gardner show, as well as the Hoosier attack show. But Northwestern holding firm. Their star, Vicente Castro, picked up a little bit of a knock about midway through the first half. He was holding on to his right arm. We'll get an injury update, hopefully, from Russell Payne when we talk to him at halftime. Dangerous ball from Sesak, and Indiana had to get rid of it quickly as McCamey couldn't quite control it, and it goes the other way.
And as well as Indiana is doing on the attack, Northwestern is doing a nice job defending them and keeping them at bay.
Mahalik went for the curler off the backside of Colin McCamey, and a corner kick coming up for Indiana, one of the final plays of the first half.
If you're Indiana here, you've seen the in-swingers go predominantly near post, maybe a couple into the center of the 6. I'd like to see if they can get one deep to the back post for a header across, or just play short and do the complete opposite of what I said.
Not the best delivery from Mahalik, nodded away by Stevens and company. .25 seconds remaining. Diagonal from McDonald. The defensive presence from Obed, and Northwestern going the other way. Can they perhaps muster something up before the halftime whistle comes from Demetrius Kasamingas? Garner off of his line, and that will do it for the first half from Bloomington. Probably what we could have expected as Indiana have dominated the run of play, but Christian Gardner up to the challenge and then some. He has answered every call emphatically, a couple of spectacular reaction saves. And the grad transfer from BC out of Orleans, Mass. has been nothing short of spectacular. Ryan Wittenbrink with a couple of real solid opportunities. Couldn't quite wrap his foot around a few of them. Meanwhile, Herbert Endely, we knew exactly what he was going to bring to the table, and he has been by far one of the better players on the field. And Russell Payne is now joining us pitch side at Jerry Yeagley Field. Coach, you talked to us about your defense sharpening some things up coming off of the Michigan game, and your goalkeeper has been outstanding. What have you thought of your defense's performance in the first half so far?
Yeah, I think we're giving each other a little bit better cover in this game. We talked about that. We're still allowing a few moments where our cover's coming a little late. Christian's doing his job back there and keeping us in this game in terms of some of the looks that they've gotten. So they've gotten a few good looks. We've had some very good looks as well. Justin had two really good ones. We had another one after that. So I think even though right now we're a little bit lower in the shot column, our looks have been very high quality. I think we can do a little better job in our precision. But defensively, I think we're starting to sort it out a little bit. We can be a little better earlier, high up the field in terms of getting our sink and our pressure and taking away some of those central penetration passes they're making. But other than that, the guys are working really hard. I'm really proud of them.
And Coach, quickly before we let you go, any injury update on Vicente Castro?
Yeah, no, he's good to go. It's a little bit of a shoulder charge there that he had to recover from, but he'll be good for the second half.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
There goes Russell Payne. We've got a good one here in Bloomington as Indiana have knocked on the door several times, but there to deny the answer is Christian Gardner. We're headed to the halftime break here in Indiana. It's 0-0 between the Wildcats and the Hoosiers.
I swear, I got the sauce. 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 I got the sauce.
We do more. We step up, stand out, break rules, and spark revolutions. We save lives, we give life, and we get right back to work. We deliver. No, we over-deliver. And we make it look easy. We ball, boss up, shatter records and ceilings and expectations. And at the end of all that,
we still end up with less.
Auto Owners protects your home. Because, well, somebody should. That's simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
No one achieves a dream alone. These are the people that made it all possible. I guess you can call this my Hall of Fame. With the right support, any dream is possible. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
5 Hour Energy, because it's time for some exercise with your best friend, of course, and he can go a long time. So you're going to need some energy, lots of energy. 5 Hour Energy for every adventure together.
Marathon has the fuel to keep your engine running at peak performance, because you never know where life is going to take you.
These Snyder's pieces aren't pretzels, all busted up and blasted with bold cheddar cheese flavor. Delicious. Tremendous. Stupendous.
What about my case?
Jack, you got a new case now, because these are not pretzels. Snyder's pretzels have gone to pieces.
I'll admit it, I'm a bath bomb guy.
Dude, you don't need to get that personal. State Farm Personal Price Plan just helps you create an affordable price.
Right. I mean, I'm not a bath bomb guy.
Call or click to get a quote today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Get great seats, safer, simpler, and smarter with TicketSmarter. Choose great seats from over 125,000 live events, all backed with a TicketSmarter 100% ticket guarantee. Get your tickets smarter at TicketSmarter.com.
Welcome back to Bloomington as Northwestern and Indiana deadlocked at 0-0, both looking for their first win of the Big Ten campaign. And Sunday, more men's soccer excitement comes your way as the Hoosiers hit the road to Ann Arbor for a conference clash with the Wolverines. Coverage begins Sunday at 4 Eastern on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. So far, Indiana have been sharp in the attacking third, but Christian Gardner, the grad transfer from BC, has been sharper. We'll have halftime stats, highlights, and more when we come back.
I swear, I got the sauce. 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 I got the sauce.
This letter is for you. From what I hear, you're supposed to be the next Tom Brady. You're not the next anybody. You're the next you. Sincerely, Tom.
Auto Owners protects your home. Because, well, somebody should. That's simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners make sense for you.
by Northwestern in the conference semifinals. I don't want to say that they won after you left. There's no direct correlation there. We'll never know. But anyway, Todd Yeagley is on the horn here as he's getting set up pitch side. Coach, your side certainly looked good in the attacking third in the first 45 minutes, pretty similar to what we saw against Michigan State over the weekend. What can your group maybe do a little bit differently heading into the second half to try to break the deadlock?
It's just the final pass to goal. I mean, we were there often, balls bouncing around the 6. As the half went on, I thought we started to jam a little bit centrally in those tight spaces. I thought when we got it wide, we were able to be a little bit more dangerous, but some shots from distance, just a little more clinical, but we created plenty of chances to have a goal or two.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry, Chris. I gave you a stray there, and I didn't even give you an opportunity for rebuttal, so I apologize. So
Well,
you have the floor now if you want to defend yourself.
The rebuttal that I can offer is that the facts do speak for themselves. I was there, and then I wasn't, and then we won. So I'm not going to say it was all because of that fact, but I'm happy to take credit for my departure, leading to yet another national title for the Hoosiers.
Well, you also won 2 as a player as well, so that doesn't hurt either. So you just couldn't get one as a coach. But more important matters right now, Vicente Castro is back out on the field for Northwestern. Russell Payne told us right before both teams headed into the locker room that Castro was good to go for the second half, just needed to sort of shake it off and probably got a well-deserved rest as he has been the maestro for this team for the entire start of the season that, again, has seen them go 0-2 in conference play thus far. Indiana 0-1-1 to start the season. Both teams still looking for their first 3 points in conference play, and away we go in the second half. Will we have a breakthrough in this 0-0 deadlock? Stick around and find out. Tyler Terrence and former Indiana University standout national champion 2 times over, Chris Monroe. Glad to have you with us here on the Big Ten Network. We'll flip-flop sides. Indiana will attack from left to right. Northwestern from right to left. Malungumbali onto the scene for Indiana yet again. He came on for the last couple of minutes of the first half as he's been leading the side in minutes this year. And got a well-earned rest in the first half from his head coach, Todd Yeagley. And it's going to be a foul against Indiana. A free kick coming up for Northwestern. They typically like to take advantage of these, especially when you have the likes of Vicente Castro on top of the ball, the set-piece specialist. But again, this one a long way out, and it needs to be perfect delivery if they are going to challenge this IU back line.
Similar situation in the first half, looking to find Kerr on the far side of the field. Let's see what they decide to do here.
It is very good delivery from Castro. Knocked back into the middle and picked up by Harms.
Northwestern shot by number 24, Dang Dang Kerr. Save made by JT Harms. Correction on that shot, it was by number 8, Andrew Stevens.
One thing I'd like to see out of Northwestern is they set up their mid-block right about here. When do they decide to press? When do they decide to go? Can they step and advance here, have Harms go long, or are they going to wait until it goes to the center backs to then press as we see here?
A little bit higher press than what we saw for most of the first half from Northwestern, but obviously not going to expend themselves chasing too much. Weiss applying the pressure and able to win it back. Weiss going for goal, and it's a spectacular effort. Justin Weiss breaks the deadlock here in Bloomington, and Northwestern, very much against the run of play, have come out firing in this second half, and it's Weiss who gives the Wildcats a 1-0 lead.
We talked about the press Northwestern can put on Indiana at the right moment. It starts with Weiss and it ends with Weiss. Able to find that pass back, placing it into the upper far post. Nothing Harms can do there. Great little 1-2 play. Weiss with the educated ball over Harms' outstretched hand. Northwestern with a fantastic goal leading to a 1-0 lead.
The Colgate transfer with his second goal of the season. Led the Wildcats last year in that department. Was second in the Big Ten in goals and finally gets going in conference play. An absolute peach of a curler. The ball could not set up any better for him. And JT Harms with no chance on what was a perfectly placed shot from the Syosset, New York native. Came up to the Red Bulls Academy, and if you end up playing for Red Bulls in any form, whether it be for their academy, their second team, or a Major League Soccer, the one thing that you know that you have in store is work rate and your ability to run and get on the ball. But Weiss also displaying a bit more nuance as well with that finish.
The educated finish with the right boot, and we talked about in the first half his ability to act like a bulldog in the right instance and force that turnover.
Meanwhile, it's this waking up Indiana. Helmer going for the curler, and the Hoosiers answer right back. Quentin Helmer, the redshirt junior, with his first collegiate goal. It is taking quite some time, but it's just the right time for Indiana. An immediate response from the home side, and it's 1-1.
The one thing you can't have if you're Northwestern is giving up a quick one. Great attack down the flank from Mahalik. And look at the brilliant dummy here onto Helmer's left foot. It's educated, just as educated as Weiss's was on his right. Puts it into the lower corner. Nothing Garner can do, and we've got a 1-1 game.
Redshirt junior from Amsterdam. And the Dutchman from Amsterdam gets the Hoosiers flying. And if you're Russell Payne, you have to be scratching your head at how quickly that response came from Indiana. You can go with the old adage that the most vulnerable time you can catch a team is when you either score a goal or concede a goal, and that seems fitting right now.
It certainly played out that way, and you can already see Indiana with a little more pep in their step after that goal as they find Sessick on the left wing.
And here comes Indiana again. Wittenbrink squares it back across, and it's Enderlin! Oh, my goodness! Indiana with 2 goals in a matter of seconds. It didn't take long for them to wake up, but boy, did Northwestern poke the bear. Now it's 2-1.
Coach Todd Yeagley said his team needed to be more clinical in the final third, and they have done that in the first 5 minutes. We see that great ball out to the left onto Sessick's left, and then Wittenbrink with the unselfish ball in. Endley with a very difficult finish. The ball slightly behind his body, able to play it first time. Again, nothing Garner can do after such an outstanding first half. The Hoosiers find themselves in front for the first time this match.
What a turn of events. No goals in the first 45 minutes between these two teams. We play 5 minutes in the second half, and we already have 3. This game has come completely unhinged, and we've got a long way to go. And here come the Hoosiers again, Wittenbrink. Northwestern looking incredibly brittle right now. Helmer from distance, and Gardner able to hang on to it.
And if you're Northwestern, you saw the response after that second goal. Garner gathered his team. They huddled up on the field. Listen, they know they don't want to give up 2 goals in 5 minutes. It happened. Can they settle themselves down and look to possess in Indiana's half of the field? That is going to be key for them to not only withstand Indiana's attack, but gain territory and space as the game progresses.
And it's going to be offside. Chris, I'd like to ask you some sort of nuanced question in terms of what's going on in this game right now from a tactical perspective, but I'm just going to ask this simply. What on earth happened in those 5 minutes?
Well, I think the phrase that comes to mind is helter-skelter.
Here's more of it. Castro around 1, pulled down by Mayer, and no call.
I know Castro was looking for contact there. I just have to wonder if there was a little bit more than the referee saw as we see Indiana here on this counter.
Mahalik, Wittenbrink becoming much more involved. Back for Mahalik. It comes off a Kerr. It's Endley again. Saved and punched home. It's Carson Henderlong with his first goal for the Hoosiers coming over from Xavier. And now it's 3-1 to Indiana. After conceding the opening goal in the first couple of minutes in the second half, they have scored 3 unanswered, and now they're running away with it.
I'm trying to catch my breath. We see here with Henderlong starting the attack, getting into space and following the ball. Mahalik, Wittenbrink, then getting it into the mixer there, Endley. But Henderlong ran that entire 70 yards of the pitch, not knowing if he was going to get the ball and then put it on frame. But does Northwestern feel hard done by? We see here that Castro went. He looked for the contact. I don't know if there was enough there to warrant that call. I know they wanted it. I know they were asking for it. They might feel hard done by. But again, no call and 3-1 for the Hoosiers.
Second minute, assisting on the goal for Indiana was number 17, Herbert Enderley. The goal is his first of the season by number 7, Christian Henderlong.
Could the Hoosiers add another? Now it feels like every opportunity on either end is going to be a goal.
Let's go one play at a time, guys. Here we go. One play at a time.
You might be able to hear Northwestern's coaching staff saying one play at a time, guys, one play at a time. As obvious and simplistic as it sounds, when you are this shell-shocked, 3 goals in 7 minutes, that's literally all you can do. And so you're trying to put yourself in a position to avoid any more mistakes and give yourself the opportunity to get back into this game. Because it's 3-1, it is not over yet. And that is the message Coach Russell Payne, no matter how disappointed he is in the first 7, he's trying to get that across to his players and coach them from the sidelines.
It's us. Let's go.
We love to hear the positivity from Russell Payne. I'm going to do you one better on the other side, Chris, and that's for Todd Yeagley in Indiana. 3 goals scored unanswered after that opening goal from Weiss, and 2 of them were big goals for individuals in particular, and Quentin Helmer getting his first goal since he's come to Indiana, in addition to Carson Henderlong, the transfer from Xavier. To get those guys off the schneid has to do a world of good for their confidence, but meanwhile, Northwestern trying to get back into it as Weiss was attempting to weave his way through. And here is Henderlong after his first Hoosier goal. Mahalik.
And that entire counterattack just right there. The ball came into Henderlong. He touched it. He played it back and out of it. He then found the in ball again to him, able to hold it and build from there. That's great work by your number 9, who hasn't had a ton of minutes all season, but showing that he can not only deal with the hold-up play in the attack, but also get on the end of that ball for the 3rd goal for the Hoosiers.
State of Success is brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. 3 goals in 2 minutes and 43 seconds. I think that epitomizes success.
Don't think you need much analysis to identify why that is good. That is one of the most impressive 2 minute and 43 second time spans I have ever seen in a collegiate match here on campus or around the country.
And meanwhile, for Northwestern, Chris, I mean, this is sort of a theme now. Because if you look back to the Michigan game over the weekend, they gave up 2 goals in a span of about 2 minutes as well. So it seems to be these small little pockets within games, despite the fact that they're in it for almost the entire game. They switch off for small segments, and they get absolutely punished because of it. Can they answer back? McCamey got a caught underneath the foot of his own as well as Mahalik.
Well, going back to what you just said, the margins for error are so small. We talk about that each season in this conference. But as Coach Russell Payne said before the half, if they don't provide cover to one another, if the gaps are too big in the defensive third of the field, then a team like Indiana that hasn't been able to really get off the schneid is going to punish you offensively.
Here come the Wildcats again. McCamey. Bit of a hopeful delivery. Wittenbrink can just see it out of trouble. Back in for Taggart. Sesson with some good defending, but now in a bit of hot water. Chris Taggart, just a freshman out of Harrisburg, North Carolina. 126 goals in his academy career for Charlotte FC. Just making his second start tonight, 7th appearance in his young collegiate career. And he'll be replaced by Kimi Avi.
Also in the game for the Wildcats, number 7, Bardia Kimiavi. Kimiavi replacing number 9, Christopher Taggart.
Claudette launches it into the penalty area. Stevens got a piece of it. And Gajadahar almost was able to cut the deficit in half. Fell nicely for him, but couldn't quite steer it on frame.
And you know that's going to drive Coach Todd Yeagley crazy. They gave up a goal off of a restart, a recycled ball against Michigan State. You see him there. You cannot switch off, especially in a situation. You feel great. You scored 3 goals in 2 minutes and 43 seconds. That ball falling to a Northwestern attacker, it easily could have been 3-2. So as happy as you are, you must maintain the discipline and really try to get either the 4th or at the very least, not give up any unnecessary opportunities.
They almost did it again, and they have struggled to build out of this right side of the defense, Indiana. A few times they've given the ball away, including an instance that led to the Justin Weiss opening goal. The good news for the Hoosiers is that they scored 3 of their own goals 2 minutes and 43 seconds later.
Well done, Jamie. Andy, get ready! What's up tonight?
Weiss sees it go underneath his foot, and it goes all the way back for JT Harms. Away. Castro on top of it now. And Gajadahar a little bit too cute with the back heel. Mahalik.
You gotta come over here! Andy! Andy!
Urging BB forward. Endeli already with a goal tonight. Weaving his way through, poked away by McCamey.
Party at the feet. Keep the ball.
Castro. This is where he loves to operate. Chanson Miller, the substitute, in for his first action of the evening. Junior out of Baldwin, Missouri. Another Xavier transfer. And Castro continues to feel the effects of that arm injury that he picked up in the first half.
Very disciplined defending there by Miller, but wound up grabbing, it looks like maybe Castro's arm, the one that might have been stretched out a little bit there in the first half, or perhaps on Castro's second attempt to clasp at Miller, could have re-aggravated the injury there. You hate to see that for anybody, obviously, here on the pitch.
Obviously don't want to speculate on how bad the injury is or whether or not he'll be able to continue, but when this happened in the first half, we didn't see him for the rest of the 45 minutes, and especially with the score at 3-1. See if the junior Chilean will be able to continue.
We're into the game for Northwestern. Number 19, Paul Sun.
So Paul Sun, one of the first guys off the bench or a starter for Russell Payne, will come onto the scene. Sophomore out of Irvine, California. Xander Long trying to stay on his feet.
And I think here Northwestern has to be intelligent and tactical with when they decide to press Indiana. You mentioned it earlier in the half. Indiana having a little bit of trouble building outside on the right. Can Northwestern press them using the sidelines as an extra defender? Or in this case, do they allow Indiana to get out onto the left-hand side into some space?
Let's go wide.
Woodenbrink just trying to help it along. Kept in play by Sesak. Here's Helmer, one of the 3 Indiana goal scorers tonight. Miller. Big diagonal ball. Sesak trying to peel it back for Woodenbrink, and good tracking back from Gajadahar.
Step the line! Step up that game!
You hear Northwestern's coaches telling the team to step. When you're heavy-legged, you're dragging 60 minutes into the match. It's more difficult and tougher than ever to get the energy to step and have that line from your forward to your defensive backs as tight as humanly possible. So it's going to be difficult for Northwestern in this last 30, but they have to do that if they want to remain in this game.
Shield it! Shield it!
Weiss couldn't quite control it. He just launched in the other direction, and the hope for Justin Weiss. It'll be Indiana free kick. Well, there's promotion that goes on at these games, Chris, where if you attend the game, you have your ticket stub, and Indiana puts up a clean sheet and a bagel on the scoreboard, if you will, then you get a free bagel. And I'm sure the student section would have loved to be able to have free breakfast tomorrow, but 3 goals in 2 minutes and 43 seconds doesn't sound bad either.
I think they'll take it.
It's not going to satiate you in the morning. It's simply not. But
not the most delicious, but it gets the job done, right?
That is unbelievable. All 4 goals scored tonight happened in a matter of 3 minutes and 48 seconds. Right at the start of the second half. For Northwestern, they're in danger now of falling to an 0-3 record in conference play. Indiana trying to get to 1-1-1. And for this Indiana group, they played a daunting non-conference schedule, played against several ranked teams. 0-3. Ohio State, obviously, in conference play. Ended up taking on the likes of Clemson, in addition to Akron, Portland. Butler was the only non-ranked opponent in their non-con schedule. That's typically how Todd Yeagley wants to set it up and challenge his side early and get them ready for Big Ten play. But Indiana, after their draw against Michigan State, falling out of the top 25, they were at 16. Not that those rankings right now mean a ton, but certain sense of pride that comes along with it. Good build up here for Northwestern. Kimiabi. Gajadahar squares it back across, and that's good defensive tracking back. That's your holding defensive midfielder, Patrick McDonald, coming all the way back and breaking that up.
But that's the danger if you're Indiana, getting a little complacent, and then we see the 2v1 here. Kimiabi with the slipped ball through. Good defense by Indiana to clear it out. McDonald for a corner, but you can't switch off. Even when it's 3-1, you have to stay focused, disciplined, and continue communicating where your marks are.
Cardinal sin of letting it bounce in your own penalty area, and Indiana will be lucky to come away unscathed now.
Hey, back there. Back there.
You can hear the conversation between Brett Beebe and the rest of his teammates as Brett Beebe thought that the ball had gone out of play 15 yards behind where the throw-in was taken, and his teammates are saying, why bother complaining? Kimiava is standing 15 yards behind you and picks up the ball.
And Coach Todd Yeagley there in his ear saying, you may be right. However, doesn't quite matter. You got to play.
This time challenge from Northwestern opens up some space. Ron Brown has recently entered the match for the Wildcats. Helmer puts it across and easy enough for Gardner. Christian Gardner had an unbelievable first half, 5 saves, a few of them in true highlight reel fashion. And he was going to be our State Farm of success. And then all of a sudden, 2 minutes and 48 seconds later, it was Indiana who stole the show. And Gardner, just for the record, really didn't have a prayer on any of them.
Absolutely not. Perfect work by Indiana to leave him vulnerable and out on an island. Still a terrific performance from your senior keeper. Just nothing he could do on those 3.
Sure, those are the games that you love, Chris, when you put on a spectacular performance for one half and then your defense sort of falls asleep for a few minutes and then your performance is forgotten, more or less.
Luckily, it didn't happen often at Indiana, but that would assume that I had a spectacular performance.
McCamey into a dangerous area, stabbed away by Sesak. Brown keeps it in the neighborhood. Kimiabi. Heavy touch there, desperately trying to win it back. And Mahalik with a clever play as he feels the pressure and goes down.
Intelligent decision there by Mahalik. You said it. He felt the pressure. He saw Kimiavi's elbow coming up. He ducked into it, actually ensuring there would be contact going down. Of course, there was still contact. Of course, it was still a foul, but he ensured that Indiana would be able to play out and get the ball up out of a dangerous situation.
Up next for IU, they will travel to Michigan, play home against number 8 Notre Dame, and then on the road against Rutgers and home against Penn State. So it does not get any easier for the Hoosiers. Still have to see this one out tonight as Paul Sun skips away from a couple of different Indiana defenders, but comes off the heel of the Hoosiers, and it goes the other way.
Let's go, boys. Let's go,
Substitutions entering the game for Indiana.
So
Number
3 out of the next
9,
5 will be on the road, and 2 of them against ranked teams in Notre Dame and Penn State.
Entering for Northwestern is number 11, Eric Smith, replacing number 28, Jason Gajahan.
So Henderlong will come off after scoring his first goal for the Hoosiers. Sarver back out onto the scene. He got a rest at the start of the second half, and rightfully so, as he's played a boatload of minutes, and he really empties the tank every time he's out on the field for Todd Yeagley.
Who himself said they have about 6 or so guys who can fill those front 4 spots. So with the way they press and the amount of running they do, they have the luxury of being able to rotate, whereas maybe in years past or some other programs, they might have to play those key guys for the full 80, 90 minutes.
And he even said to us on our call with him yesterday, he said, you're not going to find many guys in that part of the field who are playing 90 minutes for us.
No, the work they do on and off the ball, both sides, no chance.
Sarver trying to poke it through for Mahalik. Well read by Deng Deng Kerr. Although the Wildcats out of sorts right now. Sesak lofts one towards the back post, just over the head of Mahalik. And cleared away by Clauget. Here comes Indiana again. McDonald battling with Sun.
And now this is where, if you're Indiana, you really try to kill off the game through possession. You know you're going to get some chances, obviously, in the final third, but can you work it, make them chase, get them more and more defeated through your possession game?
Nick Sesnock. Or giveaway, and here comes Northwestern the other way. Weiss with the lone Northwestern goal tonight. Another effort from distance, and Chris, you were throwing your hands up as if to say you should probably step to him considering he's already beat you from range tonight.
Well, that and the fact that, again, we saw the turnover from Miller there. He knows he's not going to want to play that pass into pressure. Sesek had a couple guys on him. He then retreats back. Weiss takes him to the middle. And like you said, you would, with some of the numerical advantage that Indiana had in the back, like to see at least one person step. Win over, no harm, no foul. But it can be dangerous. And so if you're Coach Todd Yeagley, you want to limit all of those opportunities here in the last 20.
Here goes Weiss again. Jansen Miller getting the better of him, and wins the free kick.
And in the interest of fair and balance, Miller doing a great job there, getting his body in between him and Weiss, using his strength, making Weiss frustrated, and drawing a situation in which he was forced to foul him.
It's now referee Demetrius Katsamingas having to talk to a number of Northwestern players who were in danger of a yellow card for dissent.
Miller getting low, using his center of gravity, using his arms well. Weiss getting frustrated after the fact, thinking that both of them were grappling in an appropriate fashion. Of course, in that case, maybe fair call on Northwestern.
Get all the news and highlights from around the conference on The Big Show, presented by Marathon. Coming up next on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Got an awesome night of Big Ten soccer tonight. We had Michigan and Michigan State, ended with a 2-0 win for the Spartans, as Nick Stone and company, as well as Michigan transfer Mr. Finnerty, who's now wearing the Spartan green and white, shut out his old mates in East Lansing. And now Indiana on their way to a big 3 points in their first win of conference play. Long-range effort comes off of Rome Brown. And here comes Smits in the opposite direction.
Indiana a little lax right there in the last 60 seconds. Some of those balls maybe not as sharp as Coach Yeagley would like. Again, would like to see them a little crisper in their passing in the defensive third of the field, get past Northwestern's first line of pressure. And then if you have to go long, get your bodies up there to try to win second balls. You have Ben Yeagley up there who can motor and run and do that effort. However, it's going to be important that they say communicate and crisp the remainder of the match.
He jumped into the ball.
That, to the Northwestern coaching staff's credit, I think may not have been the greatest call.
I'm with you there.
When you dive right into Kimiavi's feet, I think technically that's a dangerous play, but I'm...
You're throwing your head below your knees. You kind of sort of take yourself out of that conversation.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you.
That clearance from Gardner. Wittenbrink helps it along. Brett Beebe in a much more advanced position than we've seen him over the past couple of games. He's another guy in this Indiana roster who can play about 4 or 5 different positions in all 3 phases of the field.
He and Gumbale, really the two that have that versatility that allows the coaching staff, especially whether it's injuries, whether it's formation, heck, whether it's a situation like this when you want to kill the game off and give some of your other guys a rest, he has the ability to play in those 3, 4, 5 different spots, giving the team that flexibility.
Job done.
Miller fending off Justin Weiss, who's starting to feel some of the frustration that Northwestern have endured in this second half.
No way.
And it's going to go the other way in favor of Indiana. Meanwhile, for the Wildcats, their upcoming schedule a bit daunting as well. Home against Penn State, home against Maryland, 2 ranked teams. Then they're at Northern Illinois, who's always a tough out, in addition to traveling to Columbus to take on the Buckeyes of Ohio State. So 3 out of their next 5 are against ranked opponents as they're still searching for their first win in conference play. Just 1 win on the season, and it came against Houston Baptist.
But again, given the parity of the conference and how, as we've discussed, even today, the performance doesn't necessarily belie the score, I will go on record and say there is no way Northwestern is not going to win at least 1 match and potentially get another draw later in the season. Even though in those 3 matches against 3 ranked opponents, they have the ability and the intelligence, I would say, with some of their attack-minded players to put dangerous scenarios together and press the opposing team. I really like this squad. Of course, in that 2-minute and 43-second blitzkrieg, it's going to be tough for anybody to withstand that.
And Russell Payne talked to us yesterday about how those are the growing pains of an organization and a program that's trying to figure out their identity and trying to instill these principles and a culture within a group that is obviously coming off of some fantastic years from legendary Tim Lenahan, and Indiana continue to stretch the field here in the form of Sesok, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Sesok with a beautiful move around McCamey, lashes it across. It almost fell for Wittenbrink, attempting to turn, but swarmed by a number of different white jerseys. And Russell Payne said all you need to do is go back to the conference semifinal last year against Indiana and realize that they were a Sports Center top 10 unbelievable triple save effort away from beating IU in overtime, and then eventually losing at the hands, or at the feet, I should say, of Joey Mayer. And that was about 2.5 minutes later after Celentano put together that triple save. So this is a group that believes and feel like that they can get there. As Sarver threading the needle for Wittenbrink. Can he get involved on the score sheet? Wittenbrink going for a goal, and it's a 4th for Indiana. And that'll put this one to bed. Ryan Wittenbrink, it's been coming all night for the redshirt senior, and he finally gets his. And the Hoosiers lead it now by 3 with 13:40 remaining.
The satisfied look of somebody who knew he had some chances in the first half and took it this time. Obviously doing a great job going left to right on his favored foot, getting that separation with the slightest of push-offs with his left hand. Not a foul in any way, shape, or form. Creating space, low, hard, far post. No chance for Garner. No chance for Northwestern. And Indiana should be able to see this one through.
Well, Wittenbrink struggled mightily in the first half. He had not 1, not 2, but several opportunities fall at his feet out on the left-hand wing. Todd Yeagley decided to bring on Carson Henderlong and a couple of reinforcements to see if somebody could give him a different look, and he's gotten this opportunity here in the second half and finally gets his goal, his 4th of the season. And Sarver being told to get up by the head referee. And I don't think this year, Chris, that this is going to be a situation in where Indiana have one ridiculous standout like a Victor Becerra or perhaps a Mason Toy who's going to grab 11, 12, 13, 14 goals. But rather, this is going to be by committee. And that's sort of the setup as well as we talked about. They have 4, 5, 6 players who can play anywhere between 50 to 70 minutes a game and sort of have to do it as a collective.
That's exactly right. And you're very well aware if you're a coach. You know what kind of team you have. You said it. If you have an Eric Zavaleta from that 2012 team that's going to get 18 goals, you're going to ride the hot hand. But in a case like this, not only in the games, but on the training sessions, you coach your team to embrace that flexibility as well as the transferability of the skills you have into different positions. And really, for the first time all season, it looks like it's coming together in a Big Ten match.
And we haven't even mentioned the name Danny Mooney yet, who's obviously one of the better players in the country and plays in that central defensive role. And not only is an outstanding defender and helps lock down that back line for Todd Yeagley, but in addition to that, he really helps them build out of the back and gives them a different dimension as he still is day-to-day and slowly but surely working his way back to full fitness. Todd Yeagley said that there was a possibility he might play today, but they obviously decided to play it safe. But once they get him back, and if they can start to get him back into the fold, and this Hoosier group can really build the way that they want to and get the contributions of the guys that we talked about, Sarver, Wittenbrink, Helmer, Endley, this is going to be a scary group, but I think a different-looking Indiana group than what we've seen in years past.
Certainly. You said it, with the flexibility, the ability to have so many of those different guys play different positions, rotate. And with all of that being said, if you're Coach Todd Yeagley, I think what I'm most happy about is the fact that they responded in such a dramatic fashion after going down 1-0, a goal against the run of play, but able to come back in such an explosive way.
Weiss able to whip it in. Joey Mayer didn't know a ton about it, and Mahalik clears it away. Sam Sarver, despite some rapid attempts, wasn't able to close it down.
But you love to see that if you're Indiana. Sarver sprinting 80 yards, forcing the goalkeeper not into the greatest clearance. Of course, Mahalik was stretching and trying to control it. He couldn't. That's fine. But it's that sort of effort and intensity, even with 10 minutes to go in a 4-1 match, that's something you're going to highlight, you're going to build on as you look forward to Michigan this weekend.
Indiana putting together one of their better attacking performances in close to a year. Because Taggart wasn't sure if he was going to be able to play that or perhaps Weiss was going to play it and hesitated for a moment and took a shot as a result.
Great work there by Miller, getting across and then being able to get down low and strike that out via the slide tackle. Unsure there in terms of Taggart and what exactly wound up hurting. I know he's holding his head, but it did look awkward on his fall with his left leg going behind him.
You could see Taggart's head hitting the turf on his way down here in Bloomington, and obviously an immediate stoppage from Demetrius Katsamingas, our head referee for tonight, but it looks like Taggart is okay.
Miller coming across, going down, the awkward fall, and you said it, maybe just that bang of the head on the way down.
Tight, Tommy! Tight, Tommy!
Cleared away by Miller.
Again! Stay with runner!
Son able to skip around Mahalik. Decent looking delivery. How big of a relief is this for Todd Yeagley and the Indiana Hoosiers, Chris? Because we talked about how even though Coach Yeagley wasn't saying it was a must-win, you and I can sort of read between the lines that it is, and they finally are able to get those 3 points.
Huge. I think, again, he said all the right things, and I genuinely believe him when he says you can only take it one game at a time. You play the team in front of you. All those proverbial coach speaks that are true for a reason. And knowing how competitive this conference is, knowing that they're already slightly behind the 8 ball with a loss and a draw, but understanding that other teams are going to go down eventually. To be able to have this sort of a statement game, not only scoring the goals, but going down and coming right back, that's something that has all the makings of something that can turn your season on a dime.
They'll test their luck against the Wolverines in Ann Arbor over the weekend.
Number 21, Jack Rutherman. Rutherman replacing number 11, Eric Smith.
Falls kindly here for Sam Sarver. Thought about it from distance and wasn't a terribly extroverted effort, but held comfortably by Gardner. Play breaking down just a little bit as we've entered the final 7 minutes of play or so. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball for Russell Payne and this Northwestern group, Chris, this is going to be a long bus ride back home to Evanston. But I do think that they continue to have some building blocks. I mean, for this team to go up 1-0 on the road against Indiana, for them to play a clean sheet in the first half, there are some things they can build on, but there clearly are some defensive lapses that they have to address if they are going to pick up some points this year in Big Ten play, because he continues to preach to even his substitutes right now, obviously not happy about something that's going on the field or perhaps something that they were saying or doing. But whatever the case may be, there are players and there are things that this group can build off of, but there also has to be the balance and, you know, sort of put your arm around them, but at the same time rule, not with an iron fist, but something of the sort.
Absolutely. I'm fascinated and curious as to what exactly was being said here on the touchline. However, to your point, there is an opportunity to take away some positive things from this performance. Of course, the goal against the run of play, being able to possess a little bit in Indiana's half of the field, I'd say that second part of the first half, and create certain opportunities on counters. To your point, however, about all of the defensive lapses, that is something that he's going to look at the tape. He's going to drill into the guys. He's going to find the spots where cover wasn't there, where they weren't synchronistic as a group. And like you said, look to build on that in the remaining matches of the season.
And it's such a difficult balance. And you asked him the question about how this has been going in his second season in charge and sort of what he wants this to look like. And he sort of went on his own tangent, and he talked about how, you know, he has some work to do from a recruiting standpoint here in Northwestern. And, you know, gone are the days of Tim Linehan, and he's trying to establish his own culture, his own thing in Evanston. And he said, you know, this is a group that typically is towards the bottom of the standings in Big Ten play. But when he took a chance on University of Maryland, when they were at the bottom of the ACC, when a young coach by the name of Sasho Sorovsky was in charge in 1991, when he committed to play for the Terps, he took a chance on a young coach, and he's hoping that players inside of Chicagoland, and really when you look at the talent and just the pure population of the Windy City, he really doesn't need to look too much further than that. Obviously, you're going to, because there's other talent and other players who want to play at Northwestern, but you know, it's going to take a little bit of time for him to build that reputation and to get a few different commits who might have gone elsewhere, who might have gone to Indiana, who might have gone to Michigan or Ohio State, to come to Evanston and to want to play for Russell Payne.
Absolutely. And it's that fine line between respecting the past, embracing the tradition that Coach Tim Linehan and those 2011 double, the 2012 conference title, knowing that that's there in the DNA. And as you're your own man, as you want to create your own culture, how do you go about doing that and with what personnel, right? So as we take a look at this game and as we progress in, you know, those 3 top 20 games they have later in October, how does he coach this team, stressing the positives, building upon those while, of course, addressing some of those negatives. It's going to be a fascinating second year here for Coach Russell.
And I think it takes some of those marquee wins, like beating in Indiana in a conference tournament or even in the regular season, to be able to go to recruits and say, hey, we just took down Todd Yeagley, we just took down Jeff Cook, or we took down Sasha Sarovsky. Come play with us. We're building something special here. And it takes those tiny little moments and those tiny little proof of concepts to prove to a recruit that you are going to be amidst the big boys when it comes to push and shove.
100%. I fully expect them to do that in the month of October, whether it's one of those top 20 matchups or later on down the line. I sincerely do. So it's going to be fascinating, like we said, to see this Northwestern group evolve here in the coming weeks.
And Yeagley able to come away with it. Another strong performance from the coach's son as he continues to get an opportunity in the middle of the park alongside Patrick McDonald in that double pivot. Two minutes and 43 seconds left, and that might seem like an innocuous number, a number that doesn't really have any significance, but if you are just tuning in, all it took was 2 minutes and 43 seconds for Indiana to score 3 goals after Justin Weiss opened up the scoring. And that all came in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Ryan Wittenbrink would add the 4th. And that was all she wrote as Indiana were able to seal 3 points in a pretty rapid fashion. Tommy Mahalik is down. Now we'll bring a stoppage of play.
Indiana substitution entering the game is number 25, Trey Capsalis, replacing number 10, Tommy Mahalik.
Remember, the big show is coming up right after this at the conclusion of Northwestern and Indiana. Stay tuned.
Inside, BB! Inside,
Thumped away by Andrew Stevens as Justin Weiss on the ball again in a similar spot where he scored the opening goal. And the Wildcats commit the foul. That should be one of the final acts of tonight's affair.
Great defensive work there by BB, tracking the runner, making sure that his body was between the ball and the goal. You love to see it, even with a minute and a half left in the game, from one of Indiana's leaders.
One minute remaining, 1 minute.
Indiana 60 seconds away from their first win of the Big Ten campaign here in 2022. Northwestern will fall to 0-3. Must-win game for both teams, and the Hoosiers rose to the challenge despite going down 1-0 at home after a beauty from Justin Weiss, and then 3 goals in a span of 2 minutes and 43 seconds. McCamey trying to pull something back. Has his arena. Thumped away, and that should do it. The Indiana Hoosiers with an absolute blitzkrieg in the opening 5 minutes of the second half after going down 1-0, come away with a 4-1 win and secure their first win of the 2022 Big Ten campaign. Todd Yeagley, bit of a subdued reaction, but certainly a big monkey off the back of the Hoosiers. They will move to 1-1-1 in conference play. Northwestern will fall to 0-3. Chris Monroe, your thoughts on the proceedings?
Great performance from Indiana on the attacking side of the ball. They were unlucky, actually well stymied by Garner, the Northwestern goalkeeper in the first half, who kept them at bay, responded well to the adversity of going down 1-0 at the beginning of the second half. Positive performance for the Hoosiers and a lot to build on as they continue their trek in the Big Ten Conference season.
Well, that will do it from Bill Armstrong Stadium on the campus of Indiana University, where the final score is the Hoosiers 4 and Northwestern 1. For Chris Monroe and our entire Big Ten soccer crew, I'm Tyler Terrence saying so long for now. Stay tuned for the big show next on the Big Ten Network. Have a good night, everyone.
Now, on the big show, Jim Harbaugh calls Kinnick the place top 5 teams go to die. How can Iowa keep the upset train rolling? Ohio State's O hits high gear. Jake Butt on what makes this Buckeye squad so scary and why it still has room to get better.